What's up, YouTube? So I'm going to talk about the Classic from this past weekend. Now, I may say some things that sound mean, but I did have a good time there. Richard Lake and Larry Tom and all those guys down there, they run a good show, run a good program down there, and it was enjoyable. I just picked the wrong class to drive in. I should have just drove 17.5 and seen how well I could do in there, but I chose to run the 21.5 spec class. If you don't know what that is, you got a spec motor, 21.5, no timing adjustment, nothing. You are assigned a gearing. So for us, it was 33 pinion, 72 spur. That was my my gearing for the weekend. No messing with it, no changing it. Terribly slow, terribly slow. You were given spec tires. The J-Comsys dirt webs there were super softs. They were soft. They were very hard to glue. They were something else. But I mean, everybody had the same tire. They were hard to glue, but once I got them home Thursday night, because I didn't take anything down there to sand those tires, I thought, man, this spec class, you know, there's going to be there are a lot of people sanding their tires. A lot of people trying their hardest to win this class. But it is what it is. They wanted to win, so I mean, I had to keep up with the Joneses. But I showed up Thursday morning. And I was stoked. I'm like, man, I can't wait. This is my first big race. This is going to be so much fun. And I stood in line, and that's probably the most fun of the entire weekend, was standing in line for open practice. Not gonna lie, if anyone watching us ever decides they're gonna go to a big race, and your race is until, you know, race 21, so I'm not gonna go in until, you know, the race happens, then you're missing out on a lot of chances to talk to a lot of the pros and just shoot the crap with them while you're standing in line. And you know, most of them are good dudes. Most of them will sit there and talk to you, and it's a good time. There are some duds, but that is with everything. I don't know if they were duds because they were already getting ready to get up there and practice, or they're just that way in real life. You know, you never know. I don't know these people. I mean, it is what it is. I'll probably be saying that a lot. It is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, I can't change it now, so why complain? But I showed up, got in line, and I think I was the second group. I was the second group to go off in the practice, because I got there. I had set up my buggy the night before so I could just roll up in there and be like, "Wah! Well, let's roll." I'm gonna do as many practices as I can, because I didn't race the previous Saturday with a lot of these other drivers did. And, you know, I just went in there with what I thought I would need to do with the shot package and everything like that, and I I went out there. I put my buggy on the track, and I was out there with Spencer Rivkin, and there was a bunch of my guys. But I think the first time I went out there, I know I was with Spencer because I started my buggy and I thought, I was like, wow, I don't think I put my sensor wire in right, or maybe I had a bad sensor wire, and because it was so slow, and I had it pinned, getting onto the straight and down the straight, and Spencer come just roaring down, and I'm like, I'm trying. I even said, because Spencer drives there at Hobby Action, and I'm like, I'm trying to get out of your way, Spencer. I'm trying. He's like, holy cow, and barely misses, just going ass over Tico, freaking over me, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculously slow. So I go back to my pits, and the first day we had open practice for like 3 hours. It was pretty sweet. You were able to make a change and go back up there. I mean, I don't have a pit crew to do it for me, so I had to do it. I had to run up there, do a change. I took out my old sensor wire and put in a new one that they give you 2 sensor wires with the motor, which was pretty cool. A really short sensor wire like I could use in my Techno, and a new real long one that I could use in any other buggy. So I take the long one out and put it in the 61, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be so much faster. But right now, nobody else that I was hanging out with that weekend was really there to practice yet, because I literally was there before it opened, got on the track right as you can get on the track, pretty much, and came back and had that all done before anybody had gotten there. Put my buggy back, got back in line, because people had shown up and all that stuff, but I still went back and got in line. Normally I wait and practice with my friends, but I'm like, I gotta see what is wrong with this buggy. Did I get a bad motor? Did I solder it wrong? What is wrong with this buggy? I get it out. It's the same speed. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with this. This is just how slow a 21.5 motor is. And it is slow. If you're used to running even a 17.5 jacked up with a fan on it ready to go, you're gonna be like just in awe of how slow it is. So while I'm standing in line, we talked a lot with Chase Ordog one time. One time it was Paul and I next to each other. First day, Thursday, and we had our 21.5s. This was my 3rd time going up there, and this was, I think, Paul's first time taking his 21.5 up there, or it might have been a second. But we were in line, and at the front of the line in front of us was Jared Tebow. He was going to be in the 12, because it was 12 at a time. It was going to be Jared Tebow, past world champion. Spencer Rifkin was 2 people in front of me, so it's Spencer. And then 2 people behind Paul was Ryan Mayfield. And we're taking 21.5 cars up there. And all these guys are running mod. Most of these guys are running mod cars. 4 wheels. And you're just like, well, I'll try to get out of your way, because you're just a nuisance with a 21.5. You were just a nuisance. You were just in people's way, pretty much. It was terrible, and I felt terrible. And and the guy between Mayfield and us was, I think, Riley Schaefer, and he's super fast, stock racer, and it's like, you're just like standing there like, what? You don't want to race because it's so bad. It's just so terribly slow. But we did, and when you do that, you have to get out of everybody's way. So the lines you take don't really help you, because you can't even go through a back straight, and people are almost halfway around the track. It is so slow, and I came back and I sat down, and I was really disappointed, because it was just really, it wasn't helping me as a driver. Like I changed the shocks in there, and I stopped my car from pushing pretty much just with the shocks and shock springs. Kept all the oil the same. Guys were ripping weight out of their car, and I was like, in the first, when we were setting up for the first practice session, and we went out there and we practiced, and we had 20 minutes of just 21.5s on the track. So you went up there for 4 minutes. You immediately get down and go right back in line. You get another 4 minutes. And so you can probably, you got 2 or 3 if nobody else went back and got in line. You could have went through. I know Lee went 3 times. I went twice, and I watched. I mean, you can, when you're getting passed in a practice session by other drivers that are faster than you, and you just, it's like, that's a race. I'm not going to put a puck system in for a 21.5 race. I don't have later spur gears. I don't have cut gears or anything like that I would have thrown in there. I saw no point to it. I could have went and bought all those things to be on par with these guys that did that for this race. But I didn't want to waste the money on it, because it was a 21.5 race that absolutely nobody cared about. Like, I don't even know why they ran it, to be honest. But we're in it. We did the practice session, like I said, and it was, when I got off of there, they were like, because I sat with a bunch of the sportsman drivers, and they're like, I'd run this if they made a class for it on club race days. And I was like, nope. From that moment on, I was like, never driving my buggy with a 21.5 motor in it ever again. It was terrible, terribly slow. And not just that, it's just when we did our qualifier to set, up how we were going to be able to do a seeding race, I guess it was called. So we set up, after the practice session, we do a seeding race. So we did a 5-minute seeding race, and it was like the way they did it was your 3 best consecutive laps. And I had talked to CJ Jensen, who's a driver. He calls our club races on Wednesday night. He's a great guy. Good dude. He did all the watering all weekend. Did a great job. And he's like, just drive how you would normally drive. And so I did. And I had the 6th fastest time-wise, but the 11th fastest time consecutive 3. So I was in the 2nd timing group, and I was pissed about it, because I don't like to be, I don't like it to be outside of any kind of A grouping. You gotta have goals, man, and that's, if you're just showing up just whatever happens, you're not gonna be winning shit. Or crap, no. You're not gonna be winning. I don't. Just as long as I have fun. And it's like, I'm not one of those guys. So I was pissed about it, and they're like, man, you should. you know, it's fun. And I was like, this is not fun. This is boring. You didn't really race anybody. And all you had to do was drive. And if you drove well enough, nobody'd get out of your way. Because they're like, well, we're fine. You know, I'm driving just as fast. And it's like, well, I caught you. So one of us is driving fast and one of us isn't. You know, one of us is driving well, one of us isn't. So get out of the way. But no, nobody would. And the only way you could really get through somebody is to either hit them or hope that they crash. And that to me isn't racing. Now, it didn't even happen that much. Because, I mean, once you got separated from somebody, unless you were faster, and I'd push my buggy. The second day, I don't think I put up the videos on YouTube, but the second day, I was just trying. I was like 9 seconds off of those guys, so I was trying to push my buggy to make up 9 seconds, which was never going to happen. And you know, it wasn't fun. Like, racing to me is fun, and there was very little racing to be had in the class because everybody, once you got separation from somebody, it was very, very hard to get any kind of, it was very hard to gain ground on somebody unless you were just driving better, and then you did, and then they wouldn't, and then you're just sitting there scrumming with somebody because, you know, you're all the same speed, and it was absolutely terrible. It was boring, and that's all I can really say. I mean, everything else about the whole weekend was fun, but the actual racing aspect of it was terribly boring as a driver. And then so if I thought it was boring driving it, you could definitely tell that nobody gave a crap off of the racetrack. They're like, oh geez, 21.5. You know, watch paint dry. Even the guys that, you know, you race with on club days, or they race mod or something like that, and they're like, oh man, watching that is hard because it's just boring. It was boring. That's the main word. It was, and you can tell even marshals, they're like walking, you know, barely getting out of the way, you know, didn't really care. You know, and it was just frustrating. And nobody wants to feel that way when you're up there driving. It doesn't matter what main you're in. I mean, if it's fun to watch, you know, if you actually get to see racing, like people race each other, that's what people want to watch. Is guys being close and fighting back and forth and actually racing. There was none of that in this, none of it. And so, you know, we make it through both of all the qualifiers. The qualifying rounds were it was okay. I mean, the second day I was really pushing. After the first day, I think I was 8th. After the second day, I was 10th because I drove really bad in qualifier 3 because I was just really trying to push, trying to do too much with a vehicle that I wasn't going to be able to win with anyways. So I don't know, and I got mad at myself because I was just like, it's just bad driving. And I drove bad in the fourth one, but not terribly bad. I did a 5:15, and if I just would have just drove without trying to go faster, I probably would have been sub 4:10, 5:10. Anyways, but or 4:10. Yeah, I think they were doing 4 minutes. But it put me in the second group. So I got an extra race. That's the way I looked at it, because I was going off in the second position for the B main, and I didn't even show up Sunday morning to practice. Even though I said it earlier in the video, you should try and get there to practice. There was no. I had met all the drivers that I wanted to meet and talk to them, and there was no reason to get up 3 hours early to go practice on that track with that car. It just didn't make any sense. So I didn't go practice. I just showed up about an hour before my race. I brought both of my Sure Speed motors for Ron Sure to look at and fix for me, and he fixed them up for me. I went out there and in the second position, I knew I was going to bump simply because the only person in that whole heat that could possibly catch me was Darren Olney. And he was starting in sixth, so I was like, psh, he's so far back. That's a half a stretch. And in this class, a half a straightaway is forever. And I didn't make any mistakes. Rich Brown got inside of me on the first turn, or on the second turn. And I was like, oh, I'm going to let Rich go. Because Rich likes to push. He drives real fast. And in that, when you're trying to drive real fast, you're going to wreck. And he ended up hitting the guy in front of him, got a little bit squirrely. The first place dude got a little squirrely in the S-turn. Rich was right on his butt and got collected with him, so I was by Rich. And I was like, okay. And then Nathaniel Henry was flying up. Drives a Losi. Those Losis were quick. I don't know why there weren't more Losi cars in the class in general, but it was like the majority of them were Yokomos and Associated cars. The two Associated cars that were actually doing time were driven by kids, Nathaniel and Mr. M. And they're pretty erratic and they crash a lot. Nathaniel, when he's on, he's real fast. When he's off, he'll just crash a lot. And so I was like, well, I'm going to put money on Nathaniel crashing because he passed me going on the straight. Goes down the straight, leads the second lap. And I just follow him around the track. I'm like, he's going to crash sooner or later. That was what I was hoping. And he hit the pipe going onto the straightaway. Now, we were close, but I know I didn't hit him because my car didn't move. And I was outside of him, and he hit that pipe. And from that point on, there was no racing. So it was like, what was it, 6-minute main, and I had literally 5 minutes of no racing the whole rest of the race. Because that's how 21.5 works. But Darren, evidently the guys behind me kept crashing. I watched the video on it, and they did. The second place dude that was behind me traction rolled going into the short chute. All right. And then Darren was there the whole rest of the race. And Darren's a fast dude. Darren only can drive. He's a fast dude. And afterwards, we were marshalling, and he's like, if I was going to come up on you, I was just going to lay back. And I said, if you were coming up on me, I was just going to let you go. Because the first two were going to get the bump up. And we were so far behind in the first two that, it didn't matter what we did. We were never going to win that race. And it was kind of funny that we both understood that, there's no reason to push it, the whole situation, and get in each other's way when we could have just let either one of us go by. And so then I got to go fill out a piece of paper. They're going to announce my name for the A main, and we get all set up there. And I was the last guy to walk up onto the stand, so I walked down to where I was going to stand. And there's this guy. His last name was Wojo. Or somebody. They just call him Wojo. I don't know him. Never met him. And I didn't want to stand up there and then to be shuffled down. I just wanted to walk up to the stand after they said my name and just stand there. So I didn't see where people had put their radios and all this kind of stuff. And I goes up to, and I'm like, where were you going to stand? And he's like, right there. And he just points. And so I was like, right there. And he's like being very aggressive for being in a 21.5 freaking A main that nobody gives a shit about. And he's like, right there. And I like look at him like, all right. I think I said, okay. And the thing, I like turned to Lee, who I was standing next to, and I'm like, jeez. I'm last, so I don't know where people are standing. Where are you standing?
Right there?
Like right on...
Right there?
Okay. Dude. Jesus Christ. I'll come down here. So that got me lit to race, and which kind of calmed me down, because I was just like, I can't stand idiocy out of people, man. That guy's an idiot. I'll never met him, and I don't ever want to. And he's just, you know, a nothing now. But I lined up, and if I hadn't caught the into the S turns on the first lap, I don't know why Phil Rowan was facing the wrong way, but I caught his tire. I thought I was inside of him. I have to look at the film again, but I thought I was inside of him, and I was going to miss him, but I just caught enough of his front wheel to flip me over, and I had to get marshaled. And Russell freaking marshaled fast. I was very surprised. He got me down and back in front, and so I wasn't last. And you know, from there I didn't lose a spot. I was 8th after the first lap. I did lose a spot because I got into Darren a couple laps later. Darren was in front of me after that crash, and I was a little bit quicker than him through the S turns, and I got on his rear end, and we were right before the straight, and nobody moved to marshal us. That's how 21.5. Nobody cared. We were literally sitting there, and nobody moved to separate us. So Darren, you know, floored it and did a circle, and I flew off of him, and then never saw Darren the rest of the time. But during that time, Robert had snuck past me, and at the end of the straight, he somehow had to be marshaled, and I got past him, and then never saw another person the rest of the race. Nobody ever came near me. Well, that's not true. James Dutcher and Sean Huelskamp, the two fast guys, they lapped me. But I pulled over to let them get by. You know, I could have kept racing them and been a jerk about it, but you let the leaders by. Other than that, didn't have anybody come near me in the A main again. It was seriously one of the more boring races that I've ran. But now I know, you know, if you want to race, you don't pick to do that. You don't pick to do a spec class where everybody's the same and you start on a grid where everybody is spread apart. And all you're really hoping for is that those people crash, because that's all you really hope for. You want to, people will be like, oh, you got to set up your car so that you're driving around. I'm like, yeah, my car pushed a little bit. You know, I was using these version 2 springs that I bought, but they're like Jared Tebow. I went up to Jared Tebow. Well, no, I was standing in line to practice, and Jared Tebow saw my springs and was like, those aren't the right springs. And I'm like, well, these were the version 2s I bought. And he's like, those aren't the right springs. You should never be that low. And I'm like, all right. And, you know, I just go into the shop, tell them I want version 2 springs. This is what they should give me. You know, they should give me the right stuff. But evidently they weren't. So, and I couldn't get the ride height I wanted with them and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, this is what I'm going to go with. And, I mean, I was pretty fast. Sure, I could have put a probably stiffer spring on the back and cut out some of the pushing and all that stuff, but I was at the point, like, who cares? I'm not going to win. You know? It's just ridiculously unfun. But that was my Desert Classic. And my enjoyment of my racing is 100% on me. It had nothing to do with Sure Speed, who supplied the motors. The motor was fine. It has nothing on the dirt webs, the J Concepts dirt webs. It's nothing on Larry Tom or Richard Lake or anybody having to do anything with the Desert Classic. It's 100%. I chose the wrong class to drive because I didn't know it would be so boring, and I felt like it was a waste of 4 days because I didn't get any decent car setup done. You know, because there was absolutely no weight transfer because the car wasn't going fast enough, and I was starting to get used to working with that, and it just wasn't there. So, but that was my experience. I did get to meet I stood and talked to CJ Jellin for a while. He's a good dude. He's a young guy and a good dude. He's worth talking with. Tebow was cool. Helped me with a lot of questions on my techno. He's a good dude. Jared Tebow is. Dustin Evans was a bit hard to talk to, but I don't know if that was because he was already getting ready to go practice, or what. I tried talking to him about non-RC stuff, and that, I guess, maybe wasn't going to work. Everyone else was pretty cool too. Spencer's always a good dude. He'll help you all the time. Chase Ordog was a good dude. Chase is always at our track, but I never talked to him. But I got to talk to him in practice line a lot. He's a good dude. I never got to talk to Riley Schaefer. I got to talk to Riley. He's a good dude. Most guys are good guys. There are some guys that are a bit short, but once you figure it out, you just turn around and find something else to do. I don't need anybody's approval. You know what I mean? So, but I can't wait for the next one. I cannot wait to drive in a class where I can feel like I'm racing. I can't wait till Wednesday. I'm going to be down at Hobby Action at freaking 10 in the morning. I cannot wait to drive that track with a buggy that can actually motor. And I can't wait to try out my motors being rebuilt by Ron. That was he fixed them up. They're in good shape, man. I keep my stuff in good order. So he was pretty surprised that my motor was still strong and everything like that. And I was gonna pick up a Macklin, but since he rebuilt them, I mean, why go get a new motor when this one's just fine? And so, but that's it. That was my whole Desert Classic, I guess, review. And if you guys get a chance to go to a big race, I say you should go, because it's fun. It's a good time, especially if you're there with somebody that you can joke around with and have a good time with. A couple of my buddies were there, so it was pretty fun. And my wife was down there all weekend, so that was fun. She's, if you have somebody to talk to and somebody to break up the monotony of not racing, it makes it a lot more fun. So that's it. Give a like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Share it if you think somebody would want a review of me rambling about the Desert Classic. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.